Hey guys, welcome back to another video. Life happened, unfortunately, and I wasn't able to post anything for almost the past couple of months, really, but I'm back now, and man, is there a lot to catch up on, in particular with the DCS 2025 and beyond video that was released a couple of days ago, and today we're going to talk about some of those things. Take my parking brake off here, and I'm going to take off here in this Tomcat from Andoya, and we're going to hopefully head out to the boat and trap while we're at it. Come on, there we go. That's what I'm talking about. Get the landing gear up. Nice. Now, there has certainly been a lot of interesting stuff in this new video that was put out, but the first thing I'm going to address, because I know people are running around with their hair on fire about this one, is the 800-pound gorilla in the room, the F-35. So, in a nutshell, I'm very surprised to see it coming. My understanding is that it may not be modeled to quite the same level of detail in terms of systems functionality as some of the other modules in DCS. So maybe like a mid-fidelity sort of thing is kind of what I've been hearing. But I don't think it's necessarily going to be something that really breaks DCS, simply because, and golly, I forgot how powerful the Tomcat is. We almost got through Mach 1 there. Anyway, so the F-35, I don't think it's going to be something that has to be balanced or anything like that. Just make it like it is. ED's been doing that with, as far as we know, they've been doing that with all of their aircraft that they've come out with so far. It's not going to break a bunch of multiplayer servers or anything like that, because there's a simple way to make sure that doesn't happen. Don't allow the F-35 to be in the server, or if it's a more modern server that where you're playing out a scenario where there might actually be F-35s, or they fit the time frame or whatever, then just limit the number of F-35 slots, and that way there won't be a ton of people spamming the thing or whatever. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on it. One thing I am sort of hoping for is that they introduce the AIM-120 Delta AMRAAM to go along with it, and especially to go along with the new full-fidelity F-15 that they're coming out with. That really interests me, because that'll give us an F-15 with JHEMX, AIM-9X, data link, and all the stuff that we currently lack in the Flaming Cliffs version of the F-15. And if they add the 120 Delta, then it'll also be rather competitive, or more competitive than it would otherwise be, against stuff like the Eurofighter Typhoon. Speaking of the Typhoon, I understand that they may be introducing that later than the F-35, and the F-35 and the new F-15 are slated to come along supposedly sometime in 2026. So, as much screen time as the Eurofighter got in this 2025 and beyond video, I'm not really happy about that, but it is what it is. But I am excited for the Typhoon. I may very well end up buying it when it comes out, along with the F-15 Charlie, the full fidelity version, because it just brings so much that the existing Flaming Cliffs version does not have. Now, I'll go ahead and address the idea that some people seem to think that I might rework the F-15EX mod that I've been working on to use the new F-15 Charlie, the full fidelity version that ED is developing, as a base. First of all, that thing would have to come out before I could even do that. Second, I always intended the F-15EX mod that I've worked on to have a low price of entry, and considering the quality of the mod, I think that is quite appropriate, because the cockpit is good, but it's not full fidelity level. It's, you know, Flaming Cliffs 3 level. It's just not, you know, super terrible. And I really just don't have the modding skills right now. I might one day, but I don't have the modding skills even if I wanted to make the F-15EX dependent on the new F-15 Charlie. I just don't feel like I could make a mod of it worthy of that right now. It just wouldn't be that kind of quality. If I was as good as people like the IDF Mods Project or CJS, Chiller Juice Studios, who've been working on the Super Hornet mod, that might be a different story, but that's not the case, so I'll just go ahead and get that out of the way. But what does interest me that they have been teasing, and we finally got to see, is apparently we're going to get from Heat Blur the F-14B-U, which is the upgraded version of the F-14 Bravo specifically, with the PTID in the back, so the great big multifunction display for the Rio, and hopefully also the Sparrowhawk HUD, which is a considerable upgrade over the HUD that the F-14B currently has. So I'm really excited to see that. Of course, I'd love to see an F-14 Delta, and I'd absolutely pay full price for a separate module of the F-14D, because it's obviously not coming with the F-14A and B, but that still seems to be a ways out. The F-14BU is certainly a logical outgrowth of the F-14B that we already have, and as a result of that, I just really hope that it comes at a reasonable price tag or as a free upgrade for people who already own the F-14A and B module. So think maybe like Eagle Dynamics did with the remastered F-5E, maybe like a $10 upgrade or something like that. I could definitely see paying that price for the F-14BU as a current owner of the F-14A and B module that you see here. So there was a lot of other stuff in the 2025 and beyond video. Hopefully I haven't been saying 2024 this whole time. Still getting used to the new year. Anyway, we had the F-100, which, while it's an interesting Vietnam-era aircraft, it's not something that I find particularly interesting, since I already own the F-5, and the F-5's got most of the capability of the F-100, and in some cases more. The 100 doesn't really have a radar to speak of, and the F-5E sort of does. But also, the only things that the 100 really bring to the table are maybe greater payload and more fuel capacity, and that's really about it as far as I'm aware. So, cool Vietnam-era aircraft, but unfortunately we don't have a Vietnam map yet, so it's one of those things that, I mean, it's cool to see it in DCS, but I'm not sure that it's something that I would consider worth buying. If you don't own the F5, maybe it is. Or if you're just one of those people who wants to have every module out there, or if you're that interested in the F100, then by all means, but that's just my take on that. The other thing that I didn't see, and I am really, really disappointed in this, is no Aviron Kaifer. The IAI Kaifer has been in development by a software development group or third-party development group by the name of Aviron for well over 2-3 years now, something like that. And I was really hoping we would see it with this update, with this 2025 and beyond video, rather. But it was absolutely nowhere to be found, so that's kind of a bummer for me, because the Kaifer is a really cool airplane. It is essentially a Mirage 5, a French Mirage, but with the engine of the F4, so the J79. And that gave it quite a bit of extra power over the Sigma Atar that the Mirage 5 used. And it also has some other Israeli stuff under the hood, like Python 3 missiles, I believe it would come with, and those would be extremely cool to have, because we haven't had a lot of non-NATO missiles, really, to speak of, or, well, things that aren't like a Sidewinder or a Russian missile or something like that. And there's a carrier, by the way. But to have a missile with, I believe the Python 3 has high off-bore sight capability to some degree, but even if not, it's still a really fantastic missile, and I'd just love to see that as an alternative to like the Sidewinder, for example. But that's really all I have for this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, please like and subscribe, and if you want to see more, ring that notification bell. Thank you guys, and I'll see you in the next one.